Hello.
Thanks for watching.
I just have to start by saying that I think a woman in the center row here might have wet herself, so if you need to get up and take care of that, people were really enjoying that.
I'm so glad.
Good.
What these guys, they make it look. They work. They do all the
You
hard
have no
work.
idea how much hard work that what you just saw, like how much work goes into it, and how little of it is from Fred and I. Most of it's from the two of them.
It's true. That's not an exaggeration.
How many times do you watch the original movie before you start working on one of these episodes?
I don't know why we were just back there. We just started pretending to pray. Like
let this be a good Q&A. Like, yeah, these guys have to put up with it forever. Yeah.
Just an answer in, I'll just say 2 times. That's it.
That's the answer.
Twice. Yeah, they only have to watch the movie twice and be like, yeah, we got it.
Yeah.
Hey,
whatever.
You guys weren't here for this, but this is the IDA. It's a pretty serious organization, so we really don't do humor at these things.
Yes.
So this is documentaries. It's not funny. Okay? Kidding. How many times do you? Because it's got to be more than 2. It's got to be at least 3.5.
They said 2.
That's not true.
Let him answer the goddamn question.
Okay.
No.
It's true if I say it's true. I don't know. Yeah, a lot.
This one was a little different because in some cases in other episodes you'd watch it one time or a couple of times and then Rhys and I would probably study it a little closer, but it's never like we're possessed by it. This one was more like we're possessed by it because we had to figure out ahead of time. Okay, the truth is that this episode, we actually thought that this was going to be a really easy episode to do.
Yeah, I remember in the writers' retreat, we said, it's all pictures.
It was.
Yeah, they thought it was going to be super easy.
Minimal commitment.
We're like, dude, it's all pictures.
Yeah.
Well, just record a voiceover. What's the big deal?
No, what we actually did with this one is we took Kids Days in the Picture. We recorded Bill doing the voiceover as a scratch track. And then we built an animatic of both episodes using the Kids Days in the Picture as our reference point, and then built a Bible from that of which photos we actually needed to recreate and build, sort of attached to the voice, all timed to the voiceover, and it was like a really thick booklet, and
I feel like the Photoshop guy should be up here.
Yeah.
He's dead.
Yeah, exactly.
He died.
Yeah.
Oh, he's dead.
No, he died.
Are any of our but doing photos is so it looks easy on paper. Like, I'll do a little quick photo, and then every time we had to stop to take a picture, I was like, God damn it! Like, because it's a certain we had to change like when it was and the hairstyle and stuff, and you can't fake it.
I had to be like, so how old am I in this one?
Yeah.
I think that's funny that you said you can't fake it, considering the fact that.
Yeah, because a lot of people
fake.
would say, well, you can just take a picture and then, Photoshop them in. But these guys, because they wanted it to look good, we would go to a location and take the picture. We wouldn't Photoshop ourselves into a bar. We would actually go to a nice bar and they would dress it like it was in the 50s.
That's what I was going to ask you. The detail. I mean, this is now the 3rd time I've seen this, and I saw about 30 things that I never saw. The movie poster. Gee, I'm in the army. That was
right. Did you catch the what's the horse?
Mr. Old West.
Mr. Old West is that tagline. It's like, wait, where's my horse? I can't find my horse. Oh wait, there it is. False alarm. Which we didn't come up with. That was
Neil Lockett.
Yeah, Neil. Came up with.
So do you guys see it when it's put together and just have to you must laugh like crazy because you're seeing all these things that you didn't even know were going to be there.
Yeah, I think Bill probably earlier than I do. I wait a little while longer, but yeah, it's a blast. It's incredible. I can't believe the things that they come up with.
Why do you wait so long? Because you're easily disappointed?
I like to create personal drama. Everyone's waiting for me. You know what I mean? It's so.
Yeah, and then when we ask, then we all have to have this conference call to see what Fred thinks, and it's us all waiting around, and it's a lot of so what, Fred, what'd you think? And it's just a long pause.
Yeah, I'll put you guys on hold.
And then he goes, God, I'm gonna tell you, just hold on.
Yeah, it's great.
And then you hear running water, and then like
Yeah, and then I start
tea,
crying a little
and then you're
bit.
like- and you go, look at me. No, look at me. He's like looking in a mirror and everything.
Yeah.
It sucks.
No, the actual honest answer is that with video imagery, I don't take it in a two-dimensional sense.
Do you not know about
I
this?
have to- you must know about this.
Did you not hear him on Stern?
Video synesthesia you have?
Yeah, it's just the way that I have a very creative brain, so it processes
brother.
information. Shut up. Listen, let me just finish it.
I'm
So
hearing
it
you.
processes information differently than every normal humans.
Jesus Christ.
I
No,
see
it doesn't.
color as sound.
I've seen movies with you,
I-
man. Process information. Hey,
So-
Fred.
Ow!
Hey,
So,
go, Fred.
I wonder if you guys.
That's what you yell out at a. I went to documentary now. And I'm like, woo! Fred Armisen!
Aw.
It's like, oh my god. I had no idea. This is a very serious organization.
This is the most excitement these people have seen in a long time. So.
Documentary Now Association. Documentary Association, yeah. Kim Burns is here, and they're like, Kim! As he's talking about, it's like, well, the Roosevelt's underwear is just hitting him in the face and stuff. What? He's like, anyway, yes. Well, we got that footage. It was actually buried in a thing. Get over here!
So.
I'm listening.
Okay, good. We can just have a chat. So when you guys go to parties now, do you have documentary filmmakers coming up to you and begging you to do like a version of their film? Because I feel like they must feel like it's a very high honor.
We've gotten
We
suggestions.
don't fucking party with those people.
That's fair. That's totally fair.
No,
we
no.
get
I don't.
suggestions from people, but I don't think I've met
Yeah,
any.
Barbara Koppel just knocks on our door and like, hey, come on, like, what about like, the mining thing I did?
It's already probably too funny for you
Yeah.
to do anything with.
I did Wild Man Blues. What
Yeah.
about that? Come on, right?
Did you
That's not at all what she sounds
have you heard from the filmmakers of the films that you have done that are still alive? Obviously, have you heard from them?
Oh yeah. I mean, part of what we try to do when we start any of these episodes is, reach out to the filmmakers if they're still around, and A, like make sure that they feel okay with what we're doing, and B, like ask them how they did it. And a big part of a lot of these is like, when we spoke to the Maisels, or Al Maisels, he's still alive when we started our first season. But like, D.A. Pennybaker and Chris Hedges, we spoke to them, and they came to our premiere. They came to our second premiere.
That was cool.
Barbara Koppel came to our first premiere. We were in touch with David Gelb when we were doing our sort of Jiro Dreams of Sushi one. So,
And we had also like we did this one where I did Spalding Gray, and Spalding Gray's widow emailed us. That was pretty cool, and said that their whole family watched it, which was really cool.
I mean, it feels obviously these to me feel like an homage, but I feel like every review I read is battling over the word that they want to use about them. You use satire, parody, homage, deconstruction. Have you guys agreed on what these are? Does it make a difference?
That's a good question. I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We kind of just
Because it feels different than an homage.
yeah, it's
That's-
like telling a different story, but clearly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think it
using
comes
that
from the
format.
place homage ultimately.
Yeah,
I mean, I think
guess so.
It's like an homage with like a happy finish.
yeah.
Easy.
I mean, if it was music, it would be like we did a rockabilly song.
Yeah.
Like it's that kind of thing.
It's like the movie that I always think of. People always say, "Oh, the Spinal Tap," whatever. The movie I always think of is Zelig. That's the one we
Yeah.
would always kind of where they did it. Like, if you were flipping through the channels and landed on Zelig, you're like, "Oh, this is like a PBS movie about." Whoa, wait, Woody Allen's in this, And that was kind of what we wanted to do, where it's like, "Oh, you're watching Greg Gardens," and you're like, "Wait, why is Fred Armisen in Greg Gardens?"
Yeah. Let me treat it as like a separate. It's not. I don't know. It's weird. We sort of commit to the idea that we're making this like making Sandy Patch. It's just not. It doesn't come from a place of. I don't know. At a certain point, it's not remaking it either. It's like we just commit to the idea that this is This is
It's like
us.
taking the rules of it and the aesthetic of it to tell a new story.
And we're doing it.
But the characters are really. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, this one in particular was because it's a Hollywood story and it was kind of obviously Bob Evans-esque, but we definitely wanted it to exist in a universe where Bob Evans still exists, and that Jerry Wallach would actually be in competition with Bob Evans and almost be like he wishes he were Bob Evans, but he can't quite get there. As opposed to, and one of the things we talked, with Bill about going into it was that he's not doing a Bob Evans impression. He's doing a Jerry Wallach character who's kind of like Bob Evans, but it's his own unique character, which is it might sound like, oh, that's like really cutting it pretty fine, but it was sort of a very important
No, it was this
distinction
thing
for
where
us.
I was like, I can do a Bob Evans impression, and that's not a Bob Evans. It's like in that
believe
thing,
me.
and everybody was like, oh, really? But no, it's kind of like, who's the guy? Oh gosh, he passed away. He's another big producer to Ocean's 11. Jerry Weintraub. Yeah, it was kind of like that guy and Bob Evans, John Mulaney, and I, when we were writing this, we're kind of talking about them and taking those, stories from those guys and people that we kind of have met. Like, you go on general meetings a lot and you meet, people and the stories they tell, and you're just that guy, and you're like, okay, yeah.
But it's a pretty fine line that you're walking because, like I say, you can make fun of things or you can kind of celebrate them, and it seems like you're doing and you're also like taking them to a different place. And I love how each of these movies has its, the original movies has its point of view, and these movies all have their own point of view, so they're, in a way, they're just completely their own thing. It's a pretty complicated meta situation. Somebody's got to do a PhD thesis on these, I think, at some point.
That'd be hilarious. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we don't put that. I mean, I think to us, it's like we just kind of talk about tone and, what's the funny thing. We don't really think of it in those terms. It's kind of like, what's a movie that is an interesting style, has an interesting aesthetic to it, that Fred and I could both play parts in. And I think Kid Stays in the Picture had that. And also it's kind of tracing a thing to what, like we did a Thin Blue Line one, but we were talking about the Jinx. And then it was like, well, the Jinx, that kind of style, where'd that start with? Well, it was really Errol Morris. And then we were at dinner and we were like, oh, maybe then it really should be Thin Blue Line is the first movie that really kind of did that style. So let's do that, but it was like, what can Fred and I play in those things? And then Fred had an idea for this, which was a separate idea about an Italian, Italian comedians falling off ladders. And stuff.
Like those sort of sexy comedies from Europe, where it always seems like they're always falling off a ladder, like whoa. But they're still chasing after someone, so
yeah,
we just put those two together.
So he had that idea separately, and then John and I were like, "What would Fred play in this?" And it was like, well, what if his best friend and the guy he thought was amazing, he just cast and everything, was that Italian guy? But that's what I mean. It just is like you're just like putting like, well, Fred could play that, and I could play this, and we'll have this aesthetic to it, and then it's also the idea of a guy chasing an award we thought was really funny, where you see like Oscar bait movies, and especially when you live here, you see, you go down the billboards of like all the award stuff, it's kind of fun to do that. We're also up for an Emmy, by the way.
By the way, I was supposed to mention, if there are Emmy voters here, if you stay after, I have a little envelope for each one of you. But why did you think, if you watch The Kid Stays in the Picture, it's almost a satire of itself. And if you had said, if I was your producer and you said we were going to do this, I would have thought, well, what are you going to do? It's not, how can you satirize something that's, it's already, it's like seeing Kenneth Branagh be Woody Allen in a Woody Allen movie. It's just like, it's already just gone too far, and yet you managed to make it work.
I think I feel like Kid Stays in the Picture is about a guy that's kind of crazy, but if you could just make it about a guy, a different kind of guy, it could be his own story, which...
That's kind of why you can't that's why you can't have it be Robert Evans.
Yeah, that's why you can't have it be... Why would you do it as Robert Evans? You might as well make it a guy who...
Yeah.
And then you have more freedom.
Kind of start is that I feel like we talk about the documentaries we enjoy, and then at a certain point it just becomes about characters that Bill and Fred can, like whether an idea strikes or a voice comes out, and I think that's the moment when we sort of really decide if we're going to do it.
Where the hell are you going?
Where that exists.
Really?
We're not who they thought they were.
Really?
She has to get to the gym at 4:30. So
Oh, what? I'm never gonna forget this. No, but that is true. That it's like.
Yeah. Yes.
I wonder if it's a little frustrating, though, that you guys obviously are incredible fans of these movies, and then you spend all these times with the movies, and you so lovingly recreate these details, whether it's frustrating that a lot of people, even people who are fans of the movies, might not necessarily get all the jokes.
Well, this is a thing our producers don't like us to say. We make it for ourselves.
Honestly,
It really is. We just make it.
That's why it's good.
We just make it to make ourselves laugh and for ourselves, and that to me seems like where the best stuff comes.
You have no idea, like, just the joy of sitting behind Bill and Fred watching this episode, like, makes it worth it. Because it really, and all of these episodes, and these guys say it all the time, and I think to some degree it's Bill and Fred and Seth who have, and we all know each other from SNL, but these guys have truly like worked very closely together and are close friends for years and years and years. And this show feels like, as they say, we're making a show to, amuse ourselves. And these two guys really do amuse each other quite a bit.
Really? Couldn't tell.
And
Yeah, you weren't in the green room with us. No, it's just bits.
but
Remember the bit we did?
yeah, that really it really it's not just like a line. It's
We did a bit.
I do it.
That we still do it, which
I do it alone sometimes
When we
to
first started,
myself.
Obama was president,
Shit.
and it was
Oh, man.
back in the great days. And then it was Obama. It was him visiting L.A., giving a speech at the Capitol Records building about his time in L.A. And this, how much money you got? You got some, because we don't do anything unless it's that money. Do it. No, we can do it. But yeah, it was.
It's all like all the stuff that we know in LA, but like
Yeah.
all the little stuff.
It was like how he would do speeches, and we would do this.
Like I went to Amoeba Records today. Looked through the used vinyl section.
I went down to Venice Beach, where in the 60s a band taught us that if we work hard, we can break on through to the other side.
I went to a table read.
I went to the set of Two Broke Girls.
Did punch up on a few jokes.
I did a punch up for a few jokes. Cat Denny.
Yeah.
We'll go on all
And
night.
we did this all night. And so if you watch, like, if you had like the dailies from any of the episodes, you would hear like cut, and then we'd be like, I went down to, like, we would just start. We'd immediately go into
Largo.
it.
It was on
stand-up
Sandy
comedy.
Passage where we were shooting the bloody ending of Sandy Passage, this season where it's like that continual shot where the filmmakers sort of discover all this horror and Bill's chasing them and then Fred. So we're shooting it and it's super gory, and yeah, this every time we call cut, this is what's happening.
Yeah.
Went and saw my agent at CAA. I'm like, how come I do not have a book deal? Went to Pink's Hot Dogs.
Oh my God. It was never ending, and I never wanted to end.
No, we do it. I put one in the car.
Yeah, I do the same.
But you guys actually transitioned into the Australian show for season 2. Remember when you were doing that like tonight on
Oh yes.
Oh, that's true.
Wait,
yeah.
what was that? Tonight on
Aussie something.
Tonight on Aussie Doctor. Yeah. Yeah. What were we gonna do with that?
What was it?
Yeah, season 3. Yeah.
Is the camera rolling for any of this, Ty Jinx? Because I think maybe there should be a documentary about the making of documentary now.
The
It'd be
problem
so
is,
boring.
It's not charming. Here it's charming, but like
Yeah,
when you're
they're-
working and it's
yeah,
late, these guys are just trying to get these shots.
They're like,
it's
dude.
not as much fun.
Yeah,
you
they're like,
wouldn't
I
like
need you
these
to
guys
stand
if you saw
still.
it.
Yeah. They're like, we get it. We get it. You
like
guys
them now.
have bits, but then, yeah. They have to actually finish the shot.
I have a really important question. Were you really in an improv show called Mr. Lava, Dr. Lava?
Not me.
Oh, that was actually that was Micah, our editor.
Whoa. Burn. Yeah, and he's not here, dude. So.
Yeah. Is Micah here?
No.
Micah, are you here somewhere?
What? Micah. Micah is here.
Wait, where is he?
Micah, get down here.
So
Micah, so what was the
he's the
lava?
guy that also did
What was
Wait.
the lava thing you did, Michael?
I want to
Micah?
show everyone.
Hey, wait, Micah, come here.
Come here.
This is our editor, Micah, and he's
There
a
he
genius.
is.
we did this episode.
He's an actual genius.
We got to tell you guys something.
That show you just saw is so hard.
I got to tell you.
him.
We broke Micah on this episode.
We broke Micah.
Those
Did we break you? He's here.
Those opening credits is Micah. Those opening credits.
That opening credits thing of, so he said, yeah, it's kind of a thing with music, whatever. And then Micah, the first thing he went, oh, you mean something like this? And we were like, yeah, don't change anything. That's it.
So he was in an improv show called Captain Lava? There's a one sheet with your face.
In college,
Okay.
I was. It
Okay.
was called Captain Lava. We wanted to call it 90% milk.
All right, thank you, Micah. You can go back up. No, Micah, come back. Jeez, they should try to give him a fucking thing. And no, I'm joking.
So there's a third season, yes.
Well,
I think we're discussing
it, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because here's the deal. It's hard for me to process because I'm so creative.
Christ.
Hold on a second.
Come
Hold
on, man.
That the written word,
No,
when I see a
the
contract,
written word.
is hard. I don't see letters as other people do.
I stood by you at table reads at SNL for 8 years.
No, they all jump up at me like colors.
Words are not words affect you like colors.
They appear
It's
to me
text
as
anesthesia.
colors.
It's a thing.
So Captain Lava, 99% milk. No, but Micah deserves a massive amount of credit for all these episodes because it's easy to be like, oh, but and I was talking with Rhys and Alex about this. Like these guys right here, they each one of these episodes is a totally new form, a totally new way of storytelling. It's incredibly difficult, so hard that I can't really even describe it. But it's not as easy. We kind of go like, yeah, Jiro dreams of sushi. You could do that, right? Or like Kid Stays in the Picture, or we did Salesman, right? And it's like, so we need 16 millimeter, needs to be that kind of sound, and these guys do it, and they do it better than, and I mean, in a way that I feel like knocks us out that, I don't know, they know that every time Seth and Fred and John Mulaney, we see the cuts, we're always like, wow, wow, it's always 1,000 times better than what's in our heads.
I have to tell you that the day that I was asked to do this, before I knew I was asked to do it, I was at a director friend's house, and he's like, "Oh my God, have you seen the last documentary? This is 2 parts. You have to see it. Come on, sit down." Okay, puts it on his laptop. We sit on the couch, and it was like we were watching it, and we would titter. It was kind of like, "Shut up! You just have to watch. You have to see what they did. Like the whole thing. He was so in awe of
Yeah, that's
everything
them.
that he does. Yeah.
Well, that's really nice. Thank you.
Yeah. And it's true. It's an unbelievable show. Unbelievable.
We're nominated for an Emmy.
Did we mention that?
And we got nominated for an Emmy. Let's see who's in the category.
We want to take some questions, and for a couple of you who ask incredible questions, we have a very special thing to give you on the way out. So that should be some motivation to ask a question. Go ahead.
Can you guys talk about the pitch of the concept?
You want?
Who you pitched it to first, what the IFC, they picked it up immediately, how that all started?
So the pitch
Yes.
of the concept.
I asked about the pitch. Seth and Fred and we went in. Were you there, Rhys? Or is it just? I think
No.
me and Fred. I think it was just me and Fred and Seth. And Micah was there for some reason. He was pitching Captain Lava.
Oh shit!
Whoa. Captain Lava. Well, Captain Lava just turned off my. Bro, whoa, Mike, I'm sorry. He just did it with his brain. He was
you want
like,
this
yeah,
one?
fuck you. And I'm like, No, and we went in to IFC, and we just, said, we want to do a thing that's going to be really expensive and only for us.
But it was based on an SNL piece that we did called
Yeah.
A History of Punk, right? It was like in our last year, And
yeah,
it
where
was-
he played the one punk rocker who liked Margaret Thatcher.
Yeah. So these guys put it together, and there was no real hard joke in it, but it felt authentic. And I think at the rap party or something, we're like, we got to keep doing
Yeah, we
these.
should just do that and
Yeah.
do a show like that. And then IFC, to their credit, was like, yeah. And that was how we made it.
Your SNL work, though, it seems like you have to play to a very broad audience on SNL. It can't be too esoteric. Do you feel is that not true?
Sometimes you can't help but be a little esoteric because
You can't help it.
well, but
Well,
when you think of the SNL that I agree. I hear what you're saying, and I agree. But some of the things we've seen over growing up were pretty crazy.
Yeah, it was always
You know,
those later in the
yeah.
10 to 1 things like
Like
Unfrozen
later.
Came in Lawyer and stuff like that.
Yeah, like all the kind of like later
Jack
on in
Handy
the
stuff.
night. But I hear. But I'm not disagreeing with you.
Oh, you can. It's
No,
fine.
no.
No,
I'm disagreeing with
But
you.
sometimes there's an ounce of that, a little bit of, as you said, the word esoteric, which I understand.
Oh, man. You just made Fred. made Fred
another
mad.
question. Right here.
Bill, another show also grew out of your personal love of documentaries. And would you guys ever, say in the third season, try tackling something a little more recent?
Would you try tackling something a little more recent?
Well, we did Jiro Dreams of Sushi.
And Vice, I suppose.
And Vice. Yeah, we did Vice the first season.
Is there something that you really have talked about and just decided that there's just no way we can't do that?
Oh, yeah. We wanted to do high school, Frederick Weissman's high school, but it was just too unwieldy. But I really wanted to do high school. What was the other one?
I want you to do Inconvenient Truth, but don't do it. Just actually run Inconvenient Truth and see what people say.
We've talked about like
That's a good idea, though. Inconvenient Truth would be a good one, but you can't make fun of it, really.
Yeah. Inconvenient Truth. Yeah. What?
Which one?
Oh, the Crazy Horse, the Neil Young one? What?
Which one is Crazy Horse?
Oh, Wiseman did something
You got
called
us all
Crazy Horse?
stumped.
I know Titty Cut Follies and
Do you remember we looked at
about it.
scenes
problem is
from
nobody
Tidbit
is-
Follies
obviously
and
people
the
haven't
And we talked about the staircase. Remember that one?
Yeah, that
We
was
talked about
And
the
that was
staircase
so-
forever, and
we
we
were
just
trying
could
to
not
figure out
get around
staircase.
it.
Needs 7 episodes.
It's too complicated. It's also like strangely too serious.
The
It's
Imposter. We
grim.
tried to think The Imposter, and that one was not working.
But also, it has to have a certain amount of public awareness, to, even conceptually.
Not
no?
really.
No,
I
you don't
mean,
think so?
salesman. I mean,
There seems like
Yes, it's
there's
true.
also a lot of popular contemporary documentaries, not all of them, but a lot of them have taken on this sort of like activist mantle, which are great, but it becomes a really difficult episode to do if it's not hinging on like really specific characters, and in our case, like characters that Bill and Fred can play. And so a lot of people are like, oh, you should do like an Alex Gibney thing, or like a big, issue-based doc, or like even like a Michael Moore kind of issue thing, because
Yeah,
you could
just
make
never-
fun of an issue, but it's always like, yeah, but who's the character in this?
Well,
Yeah,
in 20 years, it would be a good one to make about the
Yeah.
nows.
Yeah.
yeah, it's
know?
hard because you want it to be something like the. It comes down in a weird way to the thing that we just react to in the room, and sometimes I can't even describe what that is, but you know what I mean. It's just you just go, oh yeah, Grey Gardens, me and Fred, let's do that,
Southern Comfort, you two, would be good.
Yeah.
Another question. Back here?
Yeah, so since there were no major female parts in there, Fred should play a woman in the next one.
Bill's got better legs, I have to say,
I've got some nice legs.
for what it's worth.
I have a question for Micah.
Oh.
Oh, hey, Micah.
Thank you.
Is he,
He's like,
is your mom? Like, it's his mom.
ma'am.
It's his mom.
Is that Mike? Why would you say?
We're sitting at the wanted know if you you want to see my edit bay?
And we eat chocolate bars, and we drink a Coke, and drink a 7-Up.
Basically, I had 32 tracks of audio on the.
I don't know what that, Micah. I'm sorry,
Sorry, Micah.
Micah. It's not you. It's just the idea.
We're giving you a hard time because you're so much more. You're more talented than we are. That's why.
We just can't handle anyone else having the spotlight, Micah. That's it.
It's hard.
100%. Yeah, it's hard.
It is really, really tough.
That's
Other
why
people-
we get the money.
What was the question?
Which is, how many hours typically did you
How many hours to edit, and which was the hardest and which was the easiest?
Not so much in terms of hours, but it was almost be 3 or 4 weeks per episode. Yeah. And then this one we did a lot of animation, Photoshop, motion graphics work. So that was like 3 months because we made that animatic. Yeah. And then what was the other one?
Yeah,
question?
And what was it? Which was hardest, which was easiest?
Oh, we did a War Room one. That was easiest just because we had a deadline.
Was Parker Gale pretty easy though?
I actually didn't cut that. We brought in.
It was pretty. Yeah.
Yeah, that would cut. Yeah, that one cut.
I feel like that was.
I told you I cut that one, but I didn't. No, that cut like in there was the Parker Gale, the Spalding Gray one. Yeah, we had to assemble that. That cut in like 5 days. Yeah.
So
yeah, that was really efficient.
Alex, you've actually made a documentary, a great documentary, and I wonder if there's any crossover here. I mean, for instance, do you allow in the ones where these, obviously not in this one, but do these two improvise at all, and then you have to figure out the cut from that?
No, we don't allow them to improvise.
There's actually not a lot. There's like no improvisation in these episodes.
Usually, if there is, it doesn't work.
Yeah,
for the story.
It's all, and honestly, in all these episodes, I remember when we watched Grey Gardens or the War Room one, the ones that are kind of looser, where people always think like, oh, so you guys just get in there and riff, and it's like, no, that's getting a little old.
Yeah,
I mean, on Salesman there was I think we did a 15-minute take of the practice sales pitch.
Remember the practice pitch?
Oh, it went on forever.
Yeah,
it's unusable because I was laughing through the whole. Believe it or not.
Wait, what else?
Where the guy was trying to
we kept
tell
testing it out. We kept like doing like a test run of it.
It was like where the guy was like, you just didn't understand. Was like Fred just didn't understand that he was supposed to be playing a woman.
Yeah. Completely unusable.
Again, just to make ourselves laugh.
Yeah, I'd like to see it.
So was there any crossover? I mean, from making
it was more of an sort of a broad observation. I mean, I suppose to some degree, we're setting up interviews. The bigger thing is you recognize that on the real documentaries, the Maisels brothers, it's like in that case, it's two people. It's a cameraman and a sound man, and they would make the documentary. And when you're trying to make a sort of fake documentary, there's 60 people sitting on apple boxes on the sidewalk as we're trying really, really hard to make it as authentic as possible. And we're trying to whittle it down to just, it's just Bill and Fred, and it's just a handful of people in a room. But yeah, you're always aware that there's this whole artifice about it. I will say that, having done a little bit of documentary work and then a lot of, fake documentary work and other sort of comedy work, that in my perspective, there's like nothing harder in the world of filmmaking than making a documentary. It is the absolute hardest thing that I can possibly imagine.
A good documentary.
A good documentary. In our case, it feels like such a cheat because we've got this roadmap. We know exactly what it's supposed to look like and a basic story structure and a good sort of basic guide to the characters. And when you stop and realize that, well, hold on a second, like, when they were making this, like, they didn't know what anyone was going to say ever.
Yeah, when you watch those documentaries, it has like a perfect narrative to it. You're like, wow, so much of that is just luck.
It's unbelievable.
Or you watch something like Capturing the Freedmans, which we won't do.
It's already so funny.
It's hilarious. But just that guy was like, oh yeah, we videotaped like all this. We have all this footage of, you know what I mean? And you're just like, God, how did they just let it out?
Yeah, the fact that you can actually write the words and then have the actors say the words feels like the biggest cheat in the world coming from the world of documentary, where you're like, wait a minute, you can just tell them what to say?
Yeah. Usually our process is trying to break that down. So you walk into a scene, okay, well, he's going to need to stand there and this stands there. And we have to kind of reverse engineer to give it that unplanned energy and sort of so make sure that the camera wasn't on him at that perfect time for the line, because it wouldn't have happened that way, that there would have been one camera in the room and he would have been talking, and then that bit would have, that's what would have motivated them to swing. So it's figuring out those moments and trying to figure out that language and that rhythm.
Yeah, and that's what these guys did so well. I remember doing Grey Gardens, the very first one we did, and being like, oh, then you would just, let's just get that close-up of Fred saying this, and everyone going like, well, they wouldn't have a camera on him. There's just one camera in the room. So his reaction has to be, he's reacting to something else, and so they would then cut that reaction. It was like playing that math on set, which was.
There was an aspect to this one that reminded me a bit of. I mean, the documentary that I made was called Bigger, Stronger, Faster, and it had a lot of. It had a lot of archival footage in it. Steroids. And the whole it was fun to do a documentary that had a lot of, or an episode that had a lot of archival footage and real archival footage, and some of an episode like this that has a ton of archival that we can't. It's a small show. I mean, it's not as small as a lot of documentaries, but it's a really small show, and we can't license all that footage that you just saw. This is all the same elaborate fair use case that you all are making on your documentaries, because that's the only way to make these.
So you
programs.
used. I was thinking about the Snow White clip. It was a fair use.
Yeah, the Snow White clip was a fair use case. Yeah,
unbelievable. Good
yeah,
work.
and we work with Donaldson, Califf. You guys probably know them.
You can.
And they review everything, and we're making the same fair use arguments that anybody would make making a documentary or anything else.
I have a real question. This is actually a real question. How does a documentarian have time? How do you schedule out a time to make a documentary? Like, how do you know when you're done with your shoot day? You know what I mean? Like, it's
Or you aren't, I think, is the answer.
It must be just you set up. Do you just wait? You just wait all day.
You guys are just like patient and stuff.
It is. It didn't occur to me that the schedule would be vastly different.
That'd be so funny if there's a 9 to 5 documentary.
Like, I'm done shooting.
Well, apparently the person I wanted to interview has to meet at 6 p.m. Well, I can't do that.
We're done. Thank you.
Well, we're done. Thank you very much.
That is a crazy occupation.
Whose Streets is a great documentary that came out a couple weeks ago. They had 400 hours of footage.
That's bananas.
Yeah. So.
Were there other questions?
Yeah, let's take one more. It's one more brilliant. Is it brilliant? Can you promise? Good.
About the stuff, I'm a documentary filmmaker, but as you mentioned 2017, and I created every single bit of footage. Now, the Academy, when I was watching it, I was surprised. I said, God, how expensive that is? And for you guys to show, did you use fair use?
Yeah, we did. We used a lot of. This was. It wasn't all fair use, but a tremendous amount of it was fair use. Yes.
To get the Oscar.
Just how we accessed and used the Academy footage that we had in there. We had those awards.
Fred and I went in there and.
We
had to.
It's a documentary world.
It's a documentary world. We know
Let's
what you
just say
guys
we
go
made it-
through. Let me just tell you.
Let's just say it was a
was
different
a
kind
lot.
of documentary.
We
But a
went
lot
in there and we just,
And yeah, we shot it too.
and we got it. I mean, we got it. That's the important thing
yeah.
is we got it.
Well, first of all, I want to say if you ask a question, find Amy, who's skirting around in the back, because she'll be over there. Oh, okay, over there. Great. Congratulations on an extraordinary show.
Thanks for
I hope
doing
to
this.
God there's a third
Thanks
season.
for having
Thank you very much for doing this.
And if you know an Emmy voter, now is the time to start blackmailing them. Do it now.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much.